Now we are engaged in a great civil war. A nation divided. The 10th Amendment states that the power not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. South Carolina was the first state threatened to leave the Union due to the want to remove slavery from the colonies. Eventually, South Carolina and the federal government reached a compromise that halted South Carolina from leaving the Union. Nationalism contributed to the growth of American culture and influenced domestic foreign policies. As a unique American cultures developed, so did a sense of nationalism. Nationalism replaced the tendency towards sectionalism, and these feelings were soon reflected in government policies.
In 1860, Stephen Douglas and Abraham Lincoln ran against each other again for president. Lincoln had become very well known from their debates about slavery. Lincoln received no support in the South because they believed that he wanted to end slavery. Since there were more people in the North that supported him, Lincoln won the election anyways and became our 16th president.
As soon as Lincoln won the election, the South started to succeed. In other words, the South split from the Union and no longer wanted to be a part of the United States. The supporters of the secession had based their arguments on the idea of states' rights. They said that they had voluntarily joined the Union so they could leave whenever they wanted to.
The Dred Scott versus Sanford case declared that slaves were not citizens of the United States, and that slaves could not sue in a U.S. court system. After Dred Scott was a slave in Missouri, he moved to the free state of Illinois for 10 years. Dred Scott decided to return to Missouri, and he was then considered a slave there. Dred Scott tried to take the case to court, saying that since he lived in a free state, why wasn't he considered a free man again? The court did not grant him his freedom after that.
Other states began questioning the power of states' rights when it came to slavery. This provoked a movement of abolitionism, which means to end slavery. Abolitionists in the North helped guide and aid slaves to the northern states, where slavery was no longer permitted, which eventually led to most southern states wanting to leave the Union so they could still own slaves in their states. Many southern states claimed that slavery was needed because of their main export was crops that slaves would pick and sell. The cost to pay people for manual labor would put a big damper in the farmers' pockets, causing them to lose a lot of money.
The Civil War started and ended in 1861 to 1865 at Wilmer McLean's house. Some of the main causes were states' rights, slavery, preserving the Union, and slave versus free states. Border states such as Kentucky, Maryland, and Missouri were states that had soldiers fighting for both sides. About 500,000 people were killed or wounded in the Civil War. The 13th Amendment was passed in Congress on January 31st, 1865. Then the amendment was ratified on December 6th of 1865. The 13th Amendment states that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Section 2. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. This amendment states that slavery is now illegal in every state in the United States of America.
The 14th Amendment states that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. This amendment guarantees that every American who steps on American soil has American rights, and no state can take away these rights.
The 15th Amendment gives the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. Section 2, the Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation, which pretty much means all African American men have the right to vote.
The KKK, also known as the Ku Klux Klan, was the formation of a group that strongly hated African Americans in the United States. The KKK attacked African Americans and white Republicans as slaves.
During the Reconstruction period of the United States started the Jim Crow laws. The Jim Crow laws started in the segregation of blacks and whites. The blacks were technically free in the United States, but they still didn't have the privileges that white people got to enjoy and have.